Now let's take a look at the paragraph right before the section higher and lower pleasures, because that section is the beginning of Mill's response. So we are at the top of, well, it says page 7 in the browser, but let's see, the number is 5 on the page. Okay, so we're going to look down here. I'm going to highlight the passage so you know the one that we're looking at. Okay. Begins that way. And let's see what Mill has to say. He says, now such a theory of life arouses utter dislike in many minds, including some that are among the most admirable in feelings and purpose. The view that life has, parentheses, as they express it, no higher end, no better and nobler object of desire and pursuit than pleasure, they described as utterly mean and groveling, a doctrine worthy only of pigs. The followers of Epicurus were contemptuously compared with pigs very early on, and modern holders of the utilitarian doctrine are occasionally subjected to equally polite comparisons by its German, French, and English opponents. And I think over there we have a very concise statement of the first objection that Mill wants to deal with, wants to raise an answer to act utilitarianism. And I should mention, he mentions Epicurus. You might not know who he was. He was an ancient philosopher followed Aristotle, but Epicurus's claim to fame, or one of his claims to fame, was his ethical theory that what makes things right or wrong is the pleasure, or the ultimate thing to desire is pleasure. So it kind of fits in here pretty well. He was one of the earliest philosophers to make that claim. And Mill is concerned that people are going to dismiss his theory simply because it has this wrong notion to begin with. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at a succinct statement of what I'm going to call the doctrine of swine, the doctrine of swine issue, which is, Mill writes, to suppose that life had, as they expressed it, no higher end than pleasure, no better and nobler object of desire and pursuit, they designate as utterly mean and groveling, as a doctrine worthy only of swine, only of pigs. Now, pigs are not exactly held in high esteem in this regard, and you might say, hey, the life of a pig, is very desirable for a pig, but not exactly what humans should desire. So if we're thinking about ethics, about what people ought to do, it seems to be a problem if what you're telling people to pursue, what they ought to do, is basically they should pursue the same kind of pleasure, the same kind of life that a pig desires.